Okay team, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but there has just been a major split in the online education industry. I've been watching some of the biggest hitters in the industry, and a lot of them are changing direction, and no one's really noticing it yet. Because the creator economy has split into two camps, and whether you realize it or not, you're definitely in one of them. And both, in my opinion, are going to be dead by 2027. So whether you're an online educator, a coach, or a consultant like me, essentially someone who's scaling a business which helps somebody achieve a specific transformation, if you're trying to hit your next 20K a month milestone, you need to understand this. The first camp is the sales bro, managing huge teams of setters and closers, giving away 20, 30, maybe even 40% of their revenue in commissions, ad costs, and team costs just to keep the machine moving. The calendars look like this, filled with team meetings and sales calls where they essentially try and force complete strangers to buy their $6,000 to $10,000 packages on a Zoom call. They're slowly but surely building a business that takes over their time, their energy, and continually reduces their profit margins. Like, what's the point in even building a business at this point? I've been in that position, it's not fucking fun. And the second camp is the burnt out creator, the people who are consistently posting content, maybe they've built up a bit of a following, chasing likes, views, followers, but they have no actual system to turn that attention into a cult brand, consistent leads, and paying clients. They're essentially just posting content and hoping that somebody stumbles across their buy now link. So one side has sales but no freedom, and the other side has attention but no acquisition system. I'm not here to do either of those things, and if you're watching this video, you're probably not either. Because the reason I started CreatorX and built my personal brand is so I could experience the four freedoms: time, location, financial, and creative. Because it was only a couple of years ago that I was experiencing the complete opposite. I was grafting as a freelancer, working 16-hour days, and genuinely had no time to see any of the people that I loved. And I was still barely taking home more than my 9-to-5 used to pay me. I remember sitting at my laptop one night at 3 a.m., staring at my own reflection in the screen, thinking, I literally have no idea how I'm going to do this. I literally hated the business I had built. But now, over the last 18 months, we have crossed the $1 million mark for both CreatorX and its clients. I've built my own personal brand and educational business from zero to multi-six figures at around a 90% profit margin. I don't stress about the algorithm dictating my entire business. I don't have a big sales team, I don't have setters working the phones, and I'm not running expensive cold ads. It's just me, one of my editors, my content doing all the heavy lifting, and the systems that help it run on autopilot. And on a more personal side, it's allowed me to build CreatorX into my dream business. I get to work with clients who I love and consider mates. I can create whatever content I want and the machine still works. And it's also allowed me to do some pretty cool bucket list stuff. For example, travel around the world to some of my dream locations, connect with people that I literally used to look up to and put on a pedestal, moved into my own office, and now I've just moved into my new flat with my girlfriend. And this has all come 6 years after reading the book that kicked off this whole personal branding journey for me while I was at Bournemouth Uni studying marketing, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. I can finally say that I've built what he calls media leverage, meaning my content does pretty much all of the heavy lifting for me. But it's not just about the nice travel, it's not just about the flat and the office and all of these lovely things. It's about knowing that what we do at CreatorX genuinely changes people's lives and makes a difference. So anyway, back to the point. On the surface, the educational industry is seeing a huge split, and things are a little bit up in the air right now, especially with AI coming into the fray. Organic reach is tanking, paid traffic prices are going up, people are sick of getting automated outreach messages, and prospects are becoming more and more skeptical by the day. But here's the good news, because every generation has their sky is falling, doom and gloom moment. The major panic where everyone thinks they're going to be fucked. All that this means is that those who innovate and find new ways to win are going to be the people that end up on top. And for guys like you and me who genuinely have something to offer that's valuable and transformative, I'd actually be pretty excited about it. I call these people the brand operators, the people building brand-led businesses with industry-level systems that get crazy results. People like Dakota Robinson, Ali Abdaal, Matt Gray, Tom Nosk, these killers in the industry all understand the things we're going to be going over in this video. So here's what's going to happen. Over the course of the next 6 videos here on my YouTube channel, I'm going to break down with you exactly what I'm doing to grow my business from 20K a month to my dream goal of 78K a month. That includes how to generate leads on autopilot, optimize for high leverage fulfillment that gets sick results for your clients, but also doesn't take up all of your time, and also optimizes for those 4 freedoms. Part 1 of this series, I'm going to be breaking down the personal brand ecosystem, the model that my clients and I use in our businesses, and this is the foundation for everything else that we build over the next 5 episodes. So if there's one video that you watch on my entire channel, make sure it's this one. Quick side note, if you want all of the value from this series in advance, click the first link in the description. I'm going to send you a free email mini series on my entire game plan to hit my dream number of 78K a month. I spent fucking ages writing it. It's quality. So go and sign up for it if you want that. So let's face the music. AI has put a major spanner in the works when it comes to personal branding. Daniel Priestley described the opportunity of personal branding as an airport with fog coming in. Those who take off in the next couple of months will be fine and they'll be flying. But those who don't get off the ground are going to be stuck below that fog with everybody else. And as AI and more people come into the market, getting off the ground is going to be super difficult. Back before I built CreatorX, I was a marketing specialist for some of the biggest info brands in the space, helping people run ads, create content, build funnels. And the reason that I quit doing that is because I saw the trajectory that whole system was going down. See, scaling offers used to be super simple. You would make a landing page with a VSL, a pre-call booking system, and then just run ads to the VSL. A certain amount of people would book in for a call, and then you'd close a certain amount of those people on a call. We used to book in calls for like $30 each on some of these offers. But now where you've got so much content, you've got so many creators, and I've reached back out to some of them recently, they're getting calls for $300. Two things have happened. The cost per lead has skyrocketed, like I said, and the trust that people have in creators has gone through the ground. And for a while now, I've been saying this about the future of creator marketing. There's literally videos from 18 months ago on this channel saying the exact same stuff. Check them out if you don't believe me. So I saw the stress that it was putting all these coaches under. So I decided to build something different, where their content builds leverage for them over time across multiple different platforms, so people are pre-sold before they ever have a conversation. Or in the words of Naval, building media leverage. And since implementing this ecosystem approach, I've managed to build my own personal brand to over 72,000 followers, an email list of 5,000 plus people, and have a consistent flow of qualified, ready to purchase leads for CreatorX. So the goal with this series is to show you how to build your own personal brand ecosystem. I'm going to show you what's been working for me, what's been working for the guys inside of CreatorX, so you can just go ahead and copy it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so let's recap on what I've just been over. There has been a big split in the creator economy. By and large, the majority of info creators have been split into two camps. Number one is the sales bro, the people that spend all their time managing setters, managing their sales team, going through the DMs, spamming a load of people in the DMs, putting call to actions on their stories every 5 seconds, basically begging people for sales. And that's not fun. I've been there. It's not a good position to be in. The second one is the burnt out creator who makes really good content. They've got a really good audience, but they have no way of consistently turning those people into paying clients in a consistent, predictable way. And again, I've been in that position too. That's not fun either. And in my opinion, with the way that things are headed, with the amount of people entering the market, with the amount of content going out nowadays, both of these ways of existing as an info creator will die by 2027. That's just my prediction, okay? Based on what all of the other big hitters in the space are telling me. And one of the big reasons for that is because of AI. AI has resulted in people being able to create ad creatives at scale, meaning they can test thousands and thousands of creatives every single week, which means it's very difficult to keep up. And secondly, AI slop content is also being pushed out at scale. And what this means for you is that you're going to be paying higher ad costs for leads, which means your cost per lead is going to skyrocket. And secondly, your organic reach is going to tank. Like I said, an 18% drop year on year for organic reach for people like you and me. And as a result of both of these things, it means that the old way of getting clients with social media just don't work anymore. Okay, I'm going to go through these in a second. The next thing I touched on is that trust is getting harder to earn when it comes to online education. Okay, the course sellers and coaches and entrepreneurs as a whole get a pretty bad rap on social media, and it's not getting any easier with the amount of people trying to build their personal brand, trying to build an online business. People are sick of being cold DM'd. Every time I get a cold DM, I don't know about you, but I instantly ignore it. It just goes into my spam straight away. So cold DMing for me is just dead. People are also sick of hopping on a quick call to go through things. Even if I get an email from somebody that I could really work with, I'd like to work with them, I could use their services. The idea of hopping on a sales call, I just hate it. And most people I speak to inside of CreatorX also hate the idea of doing that. As a coach, you don't really want to be sat on sales calls all day. And as a prospect, you don't really want to be sitting on sales calls and being sold to. No one really wants to be sold to, full stop. And that is what we're going to fix with the personal brand ecosystem. And as a result of all of these things, the split of the info economy, AI allowing you to create content at scale, and trust being harder than ever to get, that has resulted in founders needing to evolve or get left behind. And it's given birth to a new type of creator, and I love this. This is what I call the brand operator. People that build trust with their audience by spending time on brand. So not just sending people to a landing page, they're spending time with them through their content to build up trust. They're building a brand-led business with industry-leading systems. which I call the personal brand ecosystem. I cannot wait to share this with you. So if you're a coach, you've probably been doing one of these old, expensive ways of doing things. The first one is the VSL landing page, okay? You spend a load of money on ads and you send people to a landing page with a video on it. A percentage of those people will watch the video, a percentage of those people will then book in for a call, and you will close a percentage of those people after. And this works really well for the past 5 years or so. Problem is now so many people are doing it, the trust in the market has gone down so much that this has now become a very expensive process. I reached out to some of the clients I used to do this with back in the day, and their cost per call has gone up to like $250, $300, right? So it's expensive and outdated. The second way is DM outreach, where essentially you get either yourself or a DM setter to come into the account and spam message people until you can book in a call. And yes, it will result in some money. You can do very well off this. I've booked a fair few amount of calls off of this. But like I said before, it takes a lot of time. Nobody wants to be reached out to. Nobody wants to be sold to anymore. Cold DMing is very much an outdated way of doing things. And it also can result in brand decay, which means if you spam cold messages to people, they're going to see you as desperate. They're going to see you as someone who needs clients, as someone who doesn't really have a very good way of getting clients. So why would they work with you? The third thing that a lot of coaches do is try and post viral content to grow their business. Now, this can be a good way of doing things if you do it right. The only problem with posting content and trying to go viral and hit the algorithm and grow your page is that your business then becomes algorithm dependent, meaning that if you have a low month with views, like the amount of money you make takes a hit. And also it's risky, right? You could post a reel which gets 1 million views and that might bring in the complete wrong audience. You might get a load of low quality viewers which then don't end up buying your product. Okay, viral content is a risky play because yes, it can get you exposure, it can get you new eyeballs onto your page, but if you don't get your messaging and your content bang on, you're going to bring in some really low quality people. I played around with this for a long time, and honestly, compared to what we're doing now in CreatorX, it's just not worth it. And finally, is having a massive sales team. This kind of plays in with these two here, but if you have a big team of setters and closers, you're going to be giving out about 30% of your overall profits, which nobody wants to do, okay? That's why I built the personal brand ecosystem. So the question is, how are we actually going to scale in 2026 if we're not doing all of these old, outdated ways? Number one, you're going to build a one-of-one digital presence online to become a cult leader in your niche. Secondly, you're going to stop using outdated acquisition systems and build an AI-proof, self-sustaining personal brand ecosystem instead. Thirdly, you're going to unlock a predictable stream of dream quality leads coming into your ecosystem every single day. Number four, you're going to build a network of trust-building assets that results in people messaging you, "I'm ready to go." Instead of you having to cold DM and message them all the time, your content's going to do the heavy lifting for you. And all of this is going to result in you building a dream lifestyle business, which unlocks what I call the 4 freedoms: cash, time, travel, and creative freedom. And that's exactly what my clients inside of CreatorX have been doing so far. For example, Tim. I started working with Tim when he was working in a barbershop, making $0 a month online. He was doing a few brand deals. I think he might have sold a few low ticket products, but we've been working together for a little while now. And he, in the last 90 days at the time of recording, has collected over 22K and his clients are collecting 30, 40K a month, right? So he is crushing it. I've got a video of him on my channel if you want to check that out. You've got Rob down here. He has a trading offer. When I started working with him, he was around 7K a month running mid to high ticket. And by the end of us working together, he was doing 45K a month. He's gone on to hit multiple 100K months. You've got Kanish and Ethan, who when we started working together, they had a few clients coming in at a pretty mid-ticket range. We managed to scale them from 2K a month all the way up to 25K a month. You've got Alberto in the powerlifting niche. He's one of my favorite clients. He's such a cool guy. But he managed to sell out all of his workshops, all of his programs, made over 10K with his first launch, having not made any money online before. And he only had 2.5K followers. You don't need a load of followers for this to work. We're not relying on the algorithm to make us money here. Same with Jess. I came into her business when she was doing about 4 booked calls a week. We got her up to 17 booked calls per week, revamped her system. She's making a load more money now. We're still working together now. Same with Alexandra. She actually signed a 33K client just from a small tweak in her approach with branding and her messaging in her personal brand ecosystem. So this can work really well if you do it correctly. So here's the theory behind the ecosystem and why this approach is my favorite way of doing it now. There's 2 rules that you need to remember when it comes to marketing on social media. The first one is by this dude, Sabri Subi. He's on Shark Tank. He owns like a 9-figure agency. He's awesome. But a big rule that he has is the 3% rule. He says that only 3% of any given market are ready to buy right now. And the majority of coaches and creators are targeting that 3% of the market, hitting them with direct response ads, VSL ads, trying to DM them and get them on calls. And they're leaving the rest of the market, the people that aren't ready to buy yet, they're completely ignoring them. So the ecosystem, the way the ecosystem operates is instead of just targeting that 3%, we are nurturing the 97% who aren't ready to make a purchasing decision yet. We're moving them closer to making a buying decision. You see, this 37% of people over here are the people who know they have a problem, but they aren't ready to pull the trigger yet. And this percentage of people, this 60%, are the people who don't even know that they have a problem yet. So if we can make them understand what their problem is and how they need to solve it using our content, we're going to be pushing them closer to making that buying decision, so that when they're ready to buy, when they're ready to invest in something to help them, we're going to be the person they go with. And the way that we do this leads me on to the second rule, which is something that this guy, Russell Brunson, talks about quite a lot in all of his work. The idea of micro commitments. So instead of just going from a complete stranger to trying to book in a call with them and get them on a sales call and force them to buy our stuff, we instead take them through a series of micro commitments. So instead of going from a stranger to a client straight away, we take them from a stranger to a follower, from a follower to a lead, from a lead to a customer, and from a customer to a client. And once we have them as a client, we can then turn them into a case study, which we can use in our marketing moving forwards. So we're not forcing them to make a big purchasing decision straight off the bat, which is very difficult, especially with the level of trust in the market at the moment. But instead, we're taking them through these micro commitments, making them make small commitments to us so that by the time they're ready to buy, by the time they're in this 3%, they're ready to buy and they will buy with us. That is the theory behind the ecosystem approach. And here's how the ecosystem actually works, okay? This is the diagram that we use to explain the personal brand ecosystem. So the first thing we do before we dive into this system at all, we want to make sure that your offer is completely and utterly dialed. We want to make sure that your offer is perfect, because everything you do in your marketing and sales is downstream from how good your offer is. The quality of your product, how different it is from everyone else in the market, and your ability to deliver results. So the first thing we do inside of CreatorX is make sure that your offer is up to scratch and you have a really solid product that you can go ahead and make content about, make micromagnets about, etc. Once we have our offer dialed in, that's when we focus on signal content. The primary goal of signal content is to grow your audience, but not just grow your audience with anyone that will follow you, to grow your audience with perfect dream clients, the people who will eventually be ready to buy your product, okay, even if they're not right now. So this is what we want to do with our signal content. Once we have somebody following us from our signal content, we then want to turn them into a lead. We don't want to just sell to them straight away. We want to turn them into a lead first. And we do this with a micro magnet. I'm going to show you this in a second, okay? And in future episodes, we're going to go through this in a load more detail. Once we have them as a lead, which means we've captured their email address, we can then nurture them and turn them into a cult member. And the key metric here is watch time. Okay, we want to get people to watch as much content as possible before having a sales conversation so they understand who we are, they understand how we operate and how our system works. So this is where we optimize for watch time and turn them into cult members. Once they've spent a load of time watching our content, they understand how we operate, etc., we then can do one of two things. We can either turn them straight into paying customers and clients, which you can do for sure. But for those people who aren't ready to make a big purchasing decision yet and they're still on the fence, that's where we introduce the Ascension engine. Give them a smaller, lower ticket, smaller commitment to financially commit to us, and then we go ahead and upsell them to our paying offers. Once we have them in our high ticket offer, we can then turn them into case studies and plug it back into the marketing on the top. You see, an issue that a lot of coaches have is they will generate leads, they'll have great content, they'll be running ads, but there'll be no system for them to then get nurtured and converted with. That's what the personal brand ecosystem does perfectly. How does this actually operate? And what are we going to be going over in the next 5 episodes? So signal content, growing our audience, we're going to use a combination of organic content and acceleration ads. Now, the way that this works is we are posting organic content based on what's working in the market. That's actually what the next episode is going to be all about. And when we see a trend, a pattern of what our audience actually likes, what is intriguing our audience, and what is getting the most people to comment and convert into leads, we then can put money behind it and boost what's already working. So instead of creating ads, wasting a load of money trying to test creatives, etc., we're simply boosting our best performing organic content to get followers consistently onto our page or into our ecosystem. Then, once we have people following us, like I said, we're going to create micromagnets. And the micromagnets that we use in CreatorX is a combination of the YouTube Final Boss video or the YouTube VSL, which we're going to go through in a future episode, or the school course. These are two stupidly valuable resources which are going to explain everything about your offer, who you are, how you operate, and show off your client results. Very similar to this video, right? And you're going to give this away, this super valuable asset, in exchange for the lead's email address. And that's when they become a lead. Once they're on your email list and following you on YouTube, you can then nurture them over time, feeding them long form assets and emails. These are the two most valuable platforms. When you have someone following you on YouTube and your email, you can nurture them so much better over time. That's where the 7-11-4 rule comes into play. I've been over this in a load of my other videos. 7-11-4 rule is a study by Google, which essentially says once somebody has spent 7 hours consuming your content across 11 different touch points over 4 different platforms, they're going to be way more likely to buy. They're going to be in a position where they know everything about you and they're ready to pull the trigger. So that's where we want to get to with the cult. Once they're at this point, we can then make them an offer. And there's 2 ways that we do this in CreatorX. We either go for a micro offer, which is something I learned from a coach of mine, where you essentially show them behind the scenes of how your offer works. You show them the inside, you show them the modules, you show them how you work together for a limited amount of time for a reduced rate. And the second thing is going to be extraction points. These are things like paid workshops and webinars, low ticket offers to help get these people off the fence before making that high ticket commitment. And once people have invested a small amount into you and become a customer, it's going to be way more likely for them to upsell into becoming a client. So once they've hopped on a webinar or they've entered one of your micro offers, then we're going to be in a position to upsell them to our core offer. Once they're in our core offer, like I said, we're going to have a client roadmap. We're going to have an offer document that we can go ahead and use to get people results and turn them into case studies. And once we have the case studies, we can plug it back into the top of funnel, and it's a cycle, it's a flywheel. So everything we do leads to the next point. Storing energy, there's no wasted leads. What a lot of people do, like I said, is they'll run ads to a VSL. If the lead doesn't watch the VSL, they'll probably never see your face again. Whereas even if they don't buy here or they don't buy here, they're still in the ecosystem. They're still consuming our content. So later down the line, they're going to be more likely to make a purchasing decision. Think about high ticket purchases you've made before. You probably haven't made them after 10 days or 2 weeks. It's probably taken you a little bit of time to build up trust with that person before you invest in them. In fact, the average purchasing decision is made after an average of 30 to 45 days. So if you don't have the infrastructure to nurture people over that period of time, you're missing out on a lot of clients and a lot of cash. And the way that I've optimized the personal brand ecosystem is so that your only 2 jobs, I believe that your only 2 roles as a brand operator should be creating high quality content, teaching, entertaining, building up a parasocial relationship with your viewers, and getting wins for your clients. Those should be the only 2 things you put your energy into. Everything else, your content should do the heavy lifting, the selling, the nurturing, etc. should all be done with your content. So now you understand the role of a brand operator and how the personal brand ecosystem functions. Over the next few episodes, I'm going to be breaking down each of the steps in a load more detail. So make sure you subscribe and watch the next episode in the series. As I said, the goal with this series is for you to be able to go ahead and install the minimum viable personal brand ecosystem into your business without paying me a penny. Because I know that if I can help you with my content, you're more likely to become a client later. But in the meantime, I'm going to give you some homework. The first thing I want you to do is put yourself into one of these 4 levels. Level 1 is I post randomly and I get no leads. Level 2 is I get attention but no consistent inquiries. Level 3 is I get some leads but I have no predictable system. And level 4 is my content consistently drives qualified conversations. Figure out which level you're in, and in the description you're going to see a link to my school community. I want you to go in that school community and post which level you're at. And secondly, I want you to go ahead and tell me which area of the personal brand ecosystem you think you haven't got installed yet, and which one and you think is going to be the most valuable for you. That's it for now. If you like this video, make sure you watch the next one. Stick around. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.